Hello everybody and welcome back to our tutorial playthrough of Mordheim, City of the Damned. Now, last time we had a great start here with the first mission. A lot of luck in that mission. Nothing to really complain about as far as our dice rolls there. So I did a little bit of thinking as far as this tutorial is concerned, and I think our best way to do this is mission by mission. However, I think our best way to look at this is we're going to take missions that I wouldn't normally suggest you take, but I think it would be great to focus on those just to see out missions that sometimes you may have to take due to a secondary objective, or there's just no better options and you really can't afford to be skipping on missions. So that's what I think we're going to do. Now we already have all of our points put in, so we have no complaints there. Let's just get into a mission. Let's see what we have here. So one warband is caught exploring, while the other divides into 3 strike teams. Typically, now this mission here, if you were comparing the two, this one is exploring a building and around the wagon. Whenever you see these missions, it's almost about the same as 2 oppositions being completely apart from the map. No surprises, nothing to be afraid of. Very basic mission. Sometimes you can get this mission and you will be put in the building right next to all the wordstone, which can help. Secondary objective is not that, so not great. One thing I don't know if I went over last time, but if you do look at the very poor and average, again, when we look at this mission, I believe I did, in fact, go over it, but we'll just go touch over this again. The very poor next to the wordstone icon does not quantify the quality of the wordstone you'll find, only how many spawns of wordstone. So early on, having a very poor amount of wordstone is very detrimental because you are going to be dealing with a lot of fragments, and that just doesn't cut it when you're trying to meet the deadline. So if you are a low-level warband, especially between the 0 to 5 level range, you really don't want to take those very poor missions if you can help it. However, well, in this case, we got lucky. We got an average mission. Now, you can spend some money to send out scouts for others. However, this is a potentially good mission one way or the other, because what we are going to hope for is we get both sides of these kind of engagements. Strike teams, for me personally, I find is a very difficult start. I don't prefer it. Anytime we have to deal with strike teams, it can mean disaster if you're caught early with one of your 3 strike teams out alone and all of the AI collapse on them and you can't reach them in time. It has a lot of points of failure. However, the worst start is being scattered because your warband was scared and they get to start nearby. That can be the most difficult one to start with. But we're going to take the strike teams. Maybe we'll get it, maybe we won't, but let's see what happens.
Your scouts report to you that a rival warband has been spotted in the area pillaging houses. While they are dispersed and distracted, you deploy your own patrols in the hope of surprising.
So we can see that we are in fact the strike team. Now, a thing to keep in mind as well, just by looking at this, the fortunate part here is that we are still an early on warband where we only have 5 units. When you are bringing a bigger or a 4, more than 5 units, you're going to fill up more slots. If you look at this, there's 2 sets of 3 that you can put units, and then around your cart you can put 4. If you have 5, it's not too bad because you can have 4 here and 1 here, usually your leader away if they can run quickly to meet up with your group. If we look at the wordstone, this is an important thing to do before you start placing, I find, is to look at the map and really plan out where you're going to place based on those spawns. Scavenge points, I don't usually put too much basis on, but I always focus a little bit heavily on wordstone, even more so if you're just starting out with a fresh warband, because you really need to get that wordstone. Okay, so if we look at this, my usual way to handle strike teams is once we're split up, you're going to want your fastest units to be in these off angles, and I try to pick a good area for them all to rush and beat up. However, we are very dangerously close to them, so we have to keep that in mind. But I think what I'm going to do is put my leader down here, probably here. And we're going to put the other 4 right here, and we're probably going to push maybe into this wordstone if we can help it. And we'll fight there. That is the main goal I have here. Looking at the map, it could be a better one to move up here. However, that will give them a lot of time to pick up the wordstone before us, which is not a bad thing either, because they're going to be in this building here. But them seeing us early means a few of them are going to come running down very quickly, which is almost what we prefer, is to get them split up. If you can catch them in an off angle like this, the AI do not think about tactics in such a way. So if you can utilize it, you should. Now what I'm going to do is try to put these 2 a little bit ahead. Now we see 4 of them are there, so they are all slower than us. Meaning they could see us very, very early. We need to keep that in mind. We've already been spotted, and it's one of our targets. Marked for death, as far as missions are concerned, I kind of put that as our middle ground choice. Always go for Wordstone Rush in most cases if you can help it. However, if there's nothing else for it, I would rather do Marked for Death. The reason I typically put it as a secondary choice is, well, sometimes the AI has a specific unit that just cannot reach or just can't figure out a way to get to you. Now, I'm going to do something a little bit greedy that I wouldn't recommend typically, but we can get this Wordstone and get behind a wall to safety. So what I really want to do here is I'm going to pick it all up. I'm going to pick up his pockets full, but the reason I'm doing this is because there is a shard here, and early on getting these kind of things is really nice. Reason this is greedy is we've already seen each other, which means they are definitely going to be charging directly towards us, and typically do not want to have someone with debuffs when this happens. But we're going to risk it here. So our attack costs got improved, which is a pretty bad effect. What that means for him is he is not the character who's going to be charging into a fight. He will have to walk in. Most likely this round will be over long before that helps. Now, we have someone who can protect him. So my plan here is to just kind of put him into this corner here, so it's very difficult to shoot at him. They still can get an angle if they park just a little bit there. But I don't want him to waste the charge or the ambush because I don't believe he can get it before they see him. Now, there are some items in here to loot, and what I want to look for here, because this may end up being perfect for us. And I'm doing with him, he is not going to loot anything because he is melee and needs to do melee things. So there's loot there, and there's a window. So probably our henchman will go in there and will take an overwatch to kind of catch anyone that's running through. Actually, we may not be able to pull that off. So we are going to want to move down here. I don't know if this will work, but we're going to try. Try to catch someone walking through here. And if they do, they will be very surrounded. Okay. This was not the person I wanted to get up there, but that is the best we can do right now. Hopefully he can round the corner here. This loot grabbing is probably unnecessary for this round, but we'll do it anyway. Sometimes you will have units in bad positions, and this will be a good learning. Light armor is okay to find. even as a basic version. As far as the basic armor goes, I find that cloth and light armor are worth wearing because you're not giving up anything. Heavy armor, I would never recommend it until you are dealing with really the blue quality or the purple quality armor, as that is the 3 tiers. So if you find heavy armor of basic quality like that light armor, I would never recommend picking it up. It's very difficult to utilize it the way you might want to. It does reduce damage taken from arrows and melee by 25%. However, I don't feel that it is worth that. Now, we saw that one henchman ran off there. That would definitely be a good target here. I'm not sure who he is trying to reach, but I think our best bet here is if we do not see anyone else, it would not be unwise to try and pin him in and attack him while he is busy. The main question is, did he take... Did see him, in fact. And this is something you can do as well. Okay, so this man right here is... let's go over the first technique here. As you can see, I could see him, right? We saw him. 81 is a pretty good number, honestly. But we could take a shot here. And I wouldn't normally recommend taking a shot here. This is a bad angle because you'd be stuck standing here in a doorway. Of course, he can move after that, and that's fine. But the main benefit here is you can aim at him, and then you can see the target if you're not exactly sure where they would be standing. That is also a target we want to take out, and it looks like they're leaving. Have we seen anyone else? We have not. So these are the only 2 targets that have made any progress towards us, and that is an archer. So what I want to do is I do not believe he is standing there. He may be in Overwatch, and that's what I want to see if we can pull him out of it. He is not in Overwatch, which is a surprising thing for him to do. He must have chose dodge stance, but no one's really going to be able to reach him and save him in this scenario. So what I think... Oh, he was in fact in Overwatch. It just, he has a very basic bow. So now he is hit. That means most enemies that are going to run in are going to see him low health and will try to fight him. I think our best bet is to move here. Also, as I've just noticed that is a cluster. So we are definitely going to want to pick that up. A cluster is worth 15, which is a very big amount, especially early on when you're dealing with fragments. Okay, so what I think I want to do here is we're going to take one shot at him because it'll be a very big hit, especially with a handgun like he's got. Guns are very, very powerful early on, just due, or specifically henchmen, due to the nature of utilizing all their offensive points into raw damage, at least for range's sake. We're going to take a shot on 81%. And we hit him for a huge amount of 48, which that is almost half his health. Obviously, the AI do have a little bit extra in terms of health. Now, I did say about standing in the door. However, in this case, for him being ranged, if they attack him, what I want to do is have them attack him, and then he is able to disengage away from the fight. That is my hope there. Now, next turn, we will get the first move, and that archer is going to fall. With 3 melee in the area, and them having an archer standing directly in the open, that is an easy target to choose. Now, another thing to keep in mind, however, is if you see all of the enemies, try to use shift to open up the overworld, or the overhead map, not the overworld map, and just kind of look at where they were last seen. We see 2 henchmen way up here. There is no chance for those henchmen to get there. Now, however, he could reach us, and he is hitting for 32 to 43, which makes me believe he has a 2-hander. So we should be very careful in trying to approach him. The thing that is hard to deal with as far as two-handers go is for heroes. A two-hander is typically a good option if you have 5 offensive points because they can make 2 swings out of it, and that's all you're going to get out of a one-hander. And I will hopefully be able to show off another beneficial thing if we can get him to do it. He is dual wielding, which is about the same. So what we want to do is we're going to walk into this man and we're just going to take the hits. Actually, here is a perfect example of why you might want to use... let me check one. Yes, because of his ability that he gets increased parry chance, but specifically, he reduces a counterattack off of a parry by 1 offensive point. For him, that means it's free. If he parries, he can auto attack for free, which is perfect. That means we can use all of his offensive points and still go for a parry, and we'll get a counterattack off of it. So, this is the one benefit of a one-hander here, is that a charge costs 1 extra offensive point. And for a one-hander, every swing costs 2. So we can use a charged attack, or just a charge, rather, into a basic attack and utilize our full set of offensive points and still go for a parry, which is exactly what you want to do if you can make that happen. So we will. 82%, and that is another big hit. Now we are going to go for a second swing here. This enemy will live. Hit or no hit. At that kind of point with our plan, there was no reason not to take the hit. 48% is a low parry, but there's no reason not to try for it. Now, let's see if he can do anything from here. Unfortunately, not. So for his case, this was an unfortunate position, and these kind of things will happen, so be prepared for them. I think our next best option here is we have to choose. So we can stay up here and hope to catch people as they walk by. But most likely, given that he is here, unless they target the archer, they are going to probably run down here and try to save him. If they can't reach the archer in one charge. So our best case here is to try and move him down and get into a fight or an overwatch. Both are fine because there is an unlikely chance that they are going to target him in this scenario. Now, I could try to aim here to push it to an 80% chance. However, that leaves him standing out in the open. We do not like that. I mean, that'll still leave him standing out in the open. However, in this scenario here, I believe this is a trap. Now, this is a little bit more advanced than what I would go for as far as a tutorial playthrough. However, if you believe one of those is a trap, the AI will never respect the trap. They do not look for them, nor do they acknowledge them. So in this exact case, if they were to attack, there is a wall right here. I'm looking at the wrong wall. This wall right here is in the way. So they have to go from around here, which will bump into him, or they go this way, which means they will charge from that angle towards him. So we just put this in between us, and we try to shoot. If we hit, fantastic. The reason we're taking this shot instead of overwatching is we can reload on 1 point. We got very lucky hitting that on 60. However, that is the point of taking those. In Mordheim, I find that anything under 70 to 80 is usually just a coin flip as far as my luck goes. Now, what we can do is reload. And what we are going to do is set up an overwatch. So if an enemy comes and they see him, as you can see, his zone of control is outside of that trap. So if he were to charge at this unit in particular, when they go to hit that charge, they will be stopped by the trap as they run over it, which will eat all of their offensive points and leave them with really nothing. Somehow... Oh, never mind. I was about to say that that man lost his wordstone debuffs, but we still have them. Okay, we're going to run him up here, and we're going to grab this token, because that is an important thing. We are also going to grab this greatsword, even though we probably won't utilize it too much. I'm going to say no because
Objective completed.
early on, you want to get the
Objectives
secondary objectives
updated.
and wordstone. Unless it is a blue quality item, typically grabbing anything else is a interesting call. Now here's the follow-up. Here's what we want. We are going to let them get the charge on him. And if they do eat that trap, they will not have enough points for another charge. So they will walk at him, which will mean they get ambushed by him. That is a long shot on the chance that that is a trap. However, we don't know. What we can try is to use a perception. And as you can see, it is in fact a trap. So that is perfect. Meaning if they go for it, they will charge into that and have a very, very bad time attempting it. Oh, this is another trap. Perfect. So sometimes if you have the trap here, you may think, oh, well, let them charge and then set up your own ambush. And you can, but I find that it's better often to just leave them standing there. Okay, this is going exactly how I wanted it to go. I'm hoping he will run through there. Perfect. That is exactly the plan I was talking about. He's picking up Wordstone, which is an interesting call, but that's okay. We can take it off of him anyway. Ooh, got a buff. He's grabbing 2. Very greedy. However, we will let them do it. Now, I'm curious if he can walk into us to get a fight. He cannot. He gets ambushed for a huge 46 damage. He hits his back, but he only had that one hit. And now he is very pinched. However, our archer is standing in the open, so he could get attacked here. However, that is fine. Because we've already got what we wanted out of that. We have taken effectively 3 offensive points from the enemy team, which is a huge boon to us. I would call this a more, I don't want to say advanced, but it is a important technique to pick up, or maybe perhaps not a technique, but a thought process where you look at what your unit's offensive points are and how to best utilize them. And there will be a moment where we can show this multiple times. I will definitely point it out every time we can, where if an enemy is standing there with all of his offensive points, sometimes it is better to walk into that enemy and refuse to swing. But that is, again, a little more advanced than we need. I am going to take a gamble shot here. A 77% is still high, but as you can see, he is engaged in a melee combatant fight here, if you will. That reduces our chance to hit by 30%. We're using aim to give us an extra 20, but we still are below 80. So for me, I usually just take this as a gamble. If it hits, fantastic. If we happen to hit and roll at the maximum number, we could, in fact, take this unit down immediately, which would be insane luck. However, we'll see what happens. Now, we didn't get the kill. That would seem bad, however, that's actually good. In this scenario, because he didn't die on that turn,
has started.
A new round starts, and we can take more turns. If we were to have taken him out now this doesn't matter in this mission because it is early on, but this will be important later. When a round ends, any weapons on a target that is taken out of combat will go with them if they are not looted. So if he were to have died there, the new round would have started and we would have been unable to get his weapons. Not that we want them, however, it is an important fact, especially later in your campaign, when enemies start bringing in blue quality weapons to match yours. You may already have blue quality weapons and may not need it, but it is always good to pick them up just to have backups in case you ever need it. So this man is so low on health, there's no way we do not take him out immediately. So we're not even going to charge because a charge and an ambush all take a 10% hit on their chance to hit. So we're going to swing on a 89%. And we did hit, however, his dodge came through. But this is a leader and an early on hero, as I still like to perceive them as that. He gets to swing again on 90. His chances to win were low. So he's got 2 fragments. Not necessarily what I want. Now, this is one white quality item I would consider taking when you can, is Masons. Reason is the hit chance. Hit chance is always useful. Now let's take a look at that debuff. This can be cycled by pressing B if you cannot see your character's debuffs. This one is a minus to climb, leap, and jump down. So they have a leader up there who is still very much hiding away. Now, as far as what he has, sometimes this is a useful feature too. He can hit 13 to 24, which is very low. That would take many hits. Now, it is a charge, so he will, at minimum, hit for 18, which is a lot. But he is not our target. So it's a little bit scary to want to deal with him right now. But he only has 1 swing, and he is equipped with a dagger. So I think what I want to do is just kind of put him in the way here. Completely block off this road, because he will be ignored being at full health. This man has also lost his debuffs, which is perfect. His pack is also completely full. So I think what we want to do is just set him up for an ambush here. Because the AI, unless they want to fight him specifically, will walk around him. And he is blocking this road, so he will choose not to fight. And I think we're going to follow up with the earlier plan here. We're just going to set him right here. Just a little bit back. Put him in dodge stance. Because even if he somehow manages to sneak by that man, that will not matter. Because we have a trap in the way. So we're going to take 2 hits here. Now, you'll see that an archer early on with a basic bow does very low damage. However, it is free damage, and it is safe and at a distance. Can usually be tucked in behind your front lines, which is always a good plan. I don't think there's a single game where you wouldn't do that. Okay. And we've gotten 2 hits, which is perfect. However, I will move him up here just to get him out of the way, just in case our henchman gets a chance to shoot at that target. We do not want to take out this henchman, though. We want to utilize our next turn if we can. Okay. He did not. That is the actual target that we want. Now, they have 21. 21 morale. In this scenario, you do not want to take out that unit anymore. And the reason for that is that if that unit were to go down, well, you could not kill the leader and loot them. If they go to net 0 morale, they will always leave instantly. We got lucky again, hitting on 77. We will take that. Okay, so this man's going to take his turn and actually walk up to fight. That is actually the correct answer to what we did. Our plan here for this turn is we do want to fight him, and I believe he overwatched. Sorry, not overwatched, but ambushed. So we're going to charge at him because he wants to ambush us, but he did it directly within charge range. So this plan may look strange. However, what we are going to do, that is, according to plan, you will see he now has no points. However, actually, because he will die in this swing if it hits and rolls high, we're going to go for that, because then we can loot it and we will have secondary objective. Very good, Morrow. So the first order of business is always to loot the secondary objectives.
Objective completed.
Fantastic. Now, the next order of business here is we need to get that cluster and the 2 shards. Okay, we are not too concerned with the enemy anymore. And the reason for that is they do not have enough morale anymore. They will take a morale check as soon as this is over. And the problem is they have no leader and no hero on the field anymore. They have both went out of combat. And when this happens, there is 0 chance of them succeeding. So what we want to do is definitely loot all of these resources. And that is what I'm going to do. Even this light armor is going to go because I do not need it. Also, before we do this any further, I don't remember if I went over this. However, if you really want to keep a weapon off of somebody, but you really don't want to deal with what you have to do there, what you can do... Excuse me, I had a phone call. What you can do is, say you just don't want to deal with it, you can trade the item. Say I had the light armor, and I want to keep it, but I also don't want him to lose this when he leaves. You can loot the item and put it back. Even though he still now has the item, and it was technically not looted, that is okay. It still counts. So, if you ever want to take a weapon, that is the way to do it. Now, you're going to take this shard, and we have now just looted an insane amount of wordstone for this mission. We could attempt to take out this unit here, and we'll fire one shot just for fun. Yeah, it is unlikely we are going to kill this target here before that turn happens, but we will try. Okay, 2 fragments is not the biggest concern. Now, what I will say is in this scenario, this is 1 potential experience. We don't really need it. What would be the better call here is to go up and actually loot more wordstone. Especially when you are certain they are going to leave on their next turn, just loot the wordstone. In all scenarios, this is a smarter choice, even if it's fragments, because experience... Though nice, you will get it inevitably. And wordstone can always be a concern, especially in these early on campaigns. So we are just going to end his turn with an ambush, because why not? And I will show you that I don't even need to fight him. I will, in fact, use dodge stance, because I cannot get the kill here, unfortunately. Their roll, even though it says they rolled, they technically didn't, because they couldn't win no matter what they did. Okay, now, we will approach this exact mission setup again in the future, because these early on campaigns, strike teams are not as deadly as you can see. I don't want to use the word deadly, but they are not as difficult as they would seem, just due to the nature of having so few units you can utilize getting to each other and not have to have 3 separate groups all running to one, focused point. Now, we did do the secondary objective, so we get some extra loot. None of it good, as you can see at the bottom. There is a pendant, a mandrake root, and a bugman's ale. I don't utilize consumables all that often. A pendant is nice, however. But we did get out of this mission.
How you decimated the enemy. He will be as pleased as a...
What you'll notice, and we will get to that point, as you can see, 1 point each for the leader. That is a incredible amount of experience for him. That is great for leaders and heroes to get more experience, because if you look, they're dealing with 12 experience points to get a level. But if you look at a henchman,
outstanding,
they will start to fall behind on how much they need to get for a level. They don't take as much. So they often, at least for me, get leveled up a lot quicker. Okay, so let's take a look at the items acquired. We got 3 gold crowns, which is... I don't know who found 3 gold crowns. I think he robbed the wishing well in the area. But the important thing here is we got 4 wordstone shards and a cluster, which is huge. As you can see, we were at 15 from our first mission, and as we hit continue, we are now at 57, which is really good, considering we only need 75, and we still have 9 more missions that we can get more supplies. So, what we will do now is put our points in. Now, he is going for a strength toughness build, and he's already at 6 points, which I am more than happy with. I tend to go for the break points. Every 3 strength break points are great. At this point, he's at 1, and it's going to take a lot more. So what I'm going to aim for with him is I'm going to go to 9 toughness, and then come back, get 9 strength. Sometimes you can stop at 9 toughness, because that's really all you're aiming for as far as how I build my armored units. But it never hurts to go a little bit above, depending on how much damage you want them to. So I'm going to put a toughness point in there. Now, for what he has going on, leadership never hurts, especially because if you fight the undead or the vampire counts, you really want to make sure you have that fear and terror resistance, or they can make you have a very, very bad time. So very important to keep that in mind. I would not solely focus on this, but getting to about a coin flip of chance is usually enough. Having a 30% can feel really bad when missions only have 5 actual rounds, and that's at the max end of combat. You really, really don't want them stuck there, losing out on 30% hit chance, or losing offensive points and strategy points is a really bad time. So he is a melee-focused character, so we're going to put it in weapon skill. This is an archer. Now, archers, I typically build toughness for them first. With him, I may consider pushing him to 6 strength eventually, but what we really want to do is do toughness, because that helps him fight other archers by having more health and preventing other archers from getting random crits on him is my general hope. Mostly because archers typically won't end up in, any kind of melee combat, and it's very rare. So having a high dodge chance, not very helpful. Melee resistance, both are helpful if they do end up in it, but toughness helps while they're in melee or while they're fighting with other ranged targets or getting spells casted. Toughness is generally my pick for any archer build. Okay, ballistic skill, because more hit chance is always valuable. For the henchman, weapon skill. Now, he doesn't have a whole lot of points here to throw around. If we look up at physical, 5 strength and 1 point, definitely go for that break point, because that means 1 more carry slot, a little bit more damage, which is always nice too, especially early on when it's so volatile and you want to get those kills before they get you. Now, as far as henchmen, when they're melee focused, I find alertness is nice, but not necessary. Range resistance, it's okay. Initiative is also useful. However, you can see his fear and terror is very, very low. And if 2 enemies are fighting him and he has no one to back him up, he is on a bad coin flip on running away. And you really don't want that, because that is a lot of extra hits. So we're going to give him leadership. Following the same pattern, you'll see that a lot of these are easy to do. Now, he is ranged focused, so we're going to start with toughness and ballistic skill. And there you go. That was mission 2, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed. Unfortunately, it was not a very spectacular mission, just due to the nature of strike teams being a lot easier. However, we will revisit those. But I believe that is the plan going forward, is we're going to try to see all mission types on each side of it, and with any luck, I can show off a few ambush scenarios. Ambushes are a whole nother crazy amount of missions that are actually random and can be in your favor or not in your favor. So hopefully we can show those too. But you guys let me know what you want to see. If you want to see all those missions happen, I will try to aim for them. If you just want to see the general basic missions and some story missions, that is fine too. But that will be it for today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and watching, and hopefully we'll catch you in the next one.